Welcome to this roundtable by StratNews Global. Today we're going to be discussing Bangladesh. I'm Ramananda Sengupta. Joining us today, we have a very stellar list of panelists. Please welcome Mr. Dileep Karmakar. He's a Canadian of Bangladeshi origin who took part in the Bangladeshi Liberation War of 1971. He's also a director of the Global Bengali Hindu Coalition, a delegation of which is touring India at the moment. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
We also have Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti, a very senior IFS official, who among other posts has also served as High Commissioner to Dhaka, and interestingly has also served in Pakistan. And we have Mr. Shantanu Mukherjee, a senior security analyst who's been following Pakistan for what, 40 years now, sir?
Bangladesh.
Sorry, Bangladesh. I'm sorry, who's been following Bangladesh for the last 40 years.
Yes.
I guess I have Pakistan. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you all with us.
Pleasure.
Let me start with, Mr. Karmakar. Mr. Karmakar, you've come here as part of a delegation of this Global Bengali Hindu Coalition. And you've come to Delhi. I believe some of you are touring other parts of India. What was the main reason behind this? Is it because of atrocities on Bangladesh Hindus, or is it something else?
You correctly mentioned, I was born in Pakistan. My father was born in British India. And my son was born in Bangladesh.
Mm-hmm.
But the flag has been changed. But the notion, that has not been changed yet. They created Pakistan, and wherever I go, I feel for my motherland. My father did not come to India because he thought, who is going to light on my grandma's tomb? That is the reason he did not come. But my other uncles, they came. They have no problem. My father did not come. That's why I am the enemy of Bangladesh. And they always try to vilifying us as the agent of India. Whatever I do, I was a freedom fighter. I fought for the Bangladesh. And any government, any successive government, they never took the cognizance of the problem. They always denied whatever happened, what happened, even including the father of the nation. What he promised, he did not keep his promise. They nurtured this radicalization, Islamization. And now you cannot live in a place where they treat you as an enemy. How you can live there? How you can sleep there? You cannot sleep. Mm-hmm. That is the reason. You cannot live in a room with the vampire. They want to kill you. That's their motto. Either they want to convert you or they want to kill. It's their religion book. It has stated like that. So how you can survive there? That is the agony. That's why we thought that we are in the European, American country, we are living there, we are in a good position, we have no problem. We are in a democratic country where there is freedom of rights, charter of rights, but the people of my motherland, they are suffering. Mm-hmm. And no matter whatever the government says, all of you know what's going on there. But I don't know what to do. We came here in the year 2014. We asked the Indian government. We met Pranab Mukherjee when he was the president. We went to see him. And we tried, but no one take the cognizance of the problem, root cause of the problem. Mm-hmm. We did not want to be separated or partitioned. We are the victim of the circumstances that India took decision to do the partition. My uncle, elder uncle, he was living in Konnagar, and my another uncle, he was in Medinipur. They have no problem. But my father, because he did not migrate, he did not came here. So we have a problem. Our property has been declared as enemy property.
Mm-hmm.
206 to 26 lakh acre land of Hindus were confiscated or declared abandoned or enemy property. Now it's under government. All the government offices, most of the offices, DC office, Land office, sub-registrar office, school board office, all office are established on the Hindus' land or building.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to come back to you once, go on what your sort of plans were when you came to India.
I'm telling you, they want to establish Bangladesh as a 100% monolithic Islamic country. They
Mm-hmm.
want to wipe out the Hindus, either wipe out or convert them. And then they have target to attack India.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they are doing, it's from here they are getting inspiration. Dawan and Jamiatul, what's called Tablighi Jamaat.
Mm-hmm.
They are giving inspiration. They are making policy. That's why they are fighting. Now, Indian flag and Israeli flag, they put the flags on the street in front of the school and university colleges. The students, they need to walk on the flags.
Mm-hmm. That sounds quite sad, sir. I'll come back to you in a minute, sir.
Just today's
Mm-hmm.
event, 2 days, there is a restaurant called Govinda's Restaurant. That's vegetarian restaurant. That was broken.
Mm-hmm.
Mob went and broken.
Yes, sir.
Shut down the.
So I'll just come back to you in a minute,
Thank
sir. Ambassador Chakravarti, before I start with the question, let me commend you on your book. I think, which I think every person who's interested in the subject should read. I'm just trying to, it's a long title for the book. It's called The Transformation, Emergence of Bangladesh and Evolution of India-Bangladesh Ties. Anybody interested in the subcontinent should pick that book up. It's a must for your bookshelf. Sir, I just wanted to ask you, I read your book just a couple of days ago. I finished and I was telling you, I learned a lot of things there. But I'm just curious, right now the situation there are a lot of people saying that, there's that it's disinformation. That Indians are just, saying things for the sake of saying things and, things are not as bad as they seem. And that the killings of Hindus or the atrocities in Hindus are more politically motivated than religious. What is your view of that, sir?
Well, they certainly tried to portray that as political and not communal. But when evidence, started growing, I think this government, headed by Professor Yunus, had to admit that there were communal incidents as well. And I'm not surprised by what has happened, because this has been happening to the Hindus for a long time. And we all know how the population has gone down to now, 8% or something. And this is part of the legacy of partition that we have inherited, which is all history now, so there's not much, it's not really worthwhile to talk about history anymore, in the sense that because the partition is a historical fact, and whoever was responsible or whatever, I've written it in my book.
Yes.
In fact, I have pointed fingers at as those who were really responsible for it. And the communal card was played, the religion was used to divide people, etc. Now, it was a historical tragedy that we suffered, but we are still paying the price for it. Many people, the Hindus particularly. Pakistan has more or less driven out all the minorities, Sikhs, etc., Buddhists, Jains, whoever, and it's under 1% now, I think. Bangladesh was not like that. But then there too, Islamization has taken place at a pace which is not surprising actually, because both Pakistan and Bangladesh suffer from what we call a crisis of identity. That what is my identity? Hence Islam is used to build that identity. And everybody tried it from Sheikh Mujib downward to up till today. And it has gathered pace over the years. I don't want to get into history, who did what, but it is very clear that Islamization of the society has taken place. The ritual parts of it. There are many reasons. I've discussed it in my book also. And so that is a fact that has happened. But coming to the present situation, I would say that it's a very uncertain sort of a situation. And hence, it is probably best to sit back and watch it for some time as to which way it goes, without actually going into any overdrive to actually do anything. The India will certainly wait and watch. That is what the current policy seems to be. But we would carry on with the day-to-day affairs or engagement, like trade or whatever, people, although the trains haven't started and the buses haven't started, mainly because of security reasons. Because there's a whole, gangsters and terrorists and mobs going around doing extortion, doing all kinds of things. So there is this fear that they will attack the train or something like that. They did attack a bus which was going to Agartala, after which all the services were stopped. So things will probably, when it will go back to normal, it's difficult to say. Elections is something that is very important. It should happen as early as possible. Because then only you can deal with a government which is duly elected by the people, whoever it is. I mean, it seems that, of course, the Awami League has been on the run because they have been attacked and killed, and many of them have run away. So it's, as a political force, Awami League may not be as strong as it was before, and hence it probably has no chance of winning any election in the next election. And the so-called reforms being done by this government, the interim government, I don't know which form it will take, and or whether there will again be some kind of tinkering that will enable the whoever, the BNP, the Jamaat or others combined to come back to power. And although I don't think the Jamaat is particularly interested in an early election, which is what I hear, for various reasons. I won't go into that, but we can discuss that separately.
Sir, Mr. Mukherjee, the thing that struck me right from the beginning is the sort of alacrity with which this Mohammed Yunus came into as president. It's almost like as it was planned long before that this would happen, and suddenly he was there and ready, and he just within days of Sheikh Hasina's departure. But we have had governments in Bangladesh before which have been anti-India as well. How is this particular thing different from the earlier incidents?
This is, of course, very right. So my reckoning is, when the situation started becoming pre-5th August, slipping out of control of Sheikh Hasina, so the external forces who were planning to install Yunus, you know who, they must have rehearsed this, that moment there's fall or Hasina's exit, so he should be brought there. So therefore, it's not surprising he was brought in, and he must also have thought whom to bring, and in his wisdom he chose to bring in the students, even some section who were radicalized. It's being alleged now that Hizb ut-Tahrir man is his principal advisor. He is still advocating for the students. During his trip to the United States in September, on the sidelines of the UN meet, he introduced a few students to President Bill Clinton and other political leaders. So we know that. So how he came and who were the forces behind in his such rapid installation. That's my feeling.
So is that how it's different from the earlier times when we've had anti-India governments?
Well, it has been ever since 1971, it's very clear that post Sheikh Mujib, that is after 75, there was coups and counter coups, you know that, November
Right.
and all. Then we find emergence of President Ziaur Rahman. He came. And he lasted till May 1981. And there was, after his exit, when he was killed in Chittagong, then the alleged killer, General Manzoor, in Rangunia, he was shot dead. There was another coup in the pipeline. And in March 82, we find President Ershad, who was again an army man. He takes over as Chief Martial Law Administrator, then his rule. Then again, so the army, there's different governments which came, like I just said, they're all anti-India. Ershad's role, anti-India, following demolition of Babri Masjid, we know how Indian infrastructure there were attacked, the libraries, the information center, the cultural center, the auditorium, and how the Indian Alliance Office, etc. And then Khalida Zia, absolutely. Not only that anti-India in thinking, in ideology, in action also. We saw in a very systematic manner the anti-India insurgents were sheltered in Bangladesh, on the Bangladesh soil, their training, arms, everything. So it is different that this thing came all of a sudden. When you are wanting to know how is it different from the anti-India, posturing was there always, in action also. And this time is all of a sudden came. But as we speak, it has definitely a very visible, very glaring anti-India stance as it manifests. And it is increasing day by day. You see on the border, it's a kind of very belligerent and very provocative, I would say. Like of nothing, the border, you are summoning the Indian High Commissioner for something or the other, protesting, and sending a general to Pakistan, just to provoke, you know. Like Ambassador Chakravarti said, there's a wait and watch. We are watching, not reacting. So these kind of things we see, the attack on the minorities, as Karmakar Sahib told us. So all these things are there, which are very much anti-India in content.
You know, Mr. Karmakar, something that struck me at that press conference that you all held at the Foreign Correspondents Club, I remember you issued a huge fat document which had lists of all the atrocities that have been done. One of the things that really struck me was the proposal that India, I'm not sure you used the word occupy, but that India take control of Chattogram and sort of turn it into an enclave for Hindus and other minorities. I mean, is that really a valid proposal? I mean, is that something you think could happen?
No, what we proposed is because the situation is so volatile. So we proposed for UN peacekeeping mission to send the deployment of the US peacekeeping mission there to control over the situation. Or as because Qaid Azam once said that we cannot live with the Hindus, that's why you need Pakistan. They did Pakistan. But after these so many years, 74 years, we are now realizing no other faith cannot live with the Muslims. There is no country, nation in the world where there is majority Muslims, the minorities are not suffering. That's because their intention is to convert them and kill them. We are not only the minorities in Bangladesh, the Adivasi, the Aboriginal peoples, indigenous peoples, and the Buddhists, and the Muslims who support the Hindus, they are also minority now in Bangladesh. Who they want a secular society, they are minority in Bangladesh. How you can live there? That's why we propose we need a separate land. What? The 26 lakh acres of land what the government confiscated and the and the Hindus, they are owning the property right now. Both take into account and take a land and let us say, let us stay there, Hindus, so that they can live in peace.
So are you talking about another independent kind of a state?
Autonomy, or it can be a state, just a safe zone. A safe zone. That is our proposal. And as because we don't know where to go, if you think yourself that you are a citizen of Bangladesh and you are a minority, there is no government officials, as because Pinaki sir, he was there, he knows how the property are being grabbed with certain pretext. There is nothing. You don't need any paper. Just they will take it, grab the property, and they will kick you out from the property, and you go anywhere. There is not a single instance that the Hindu property which was grabbed, the perpetrators were punished. Now this government, they gave the impunity to those perpetrators, and the Islamic Jihadists who are in jail, they are now out.
Yes, that's true.
And the government, whatever they did between 5th August to 8th August, they got impunity. You cannot go in any court to get any justice. You see, the people who are going to the court, who are arrested now, the ministers and others, even the non-political person also, the writers, journalists, they are taking to the court with the police escort, with vest and with helmet. They are attacking even inside the police escort. So this situation is like that. I cannot imagine even. I cannot talk. I cannot sleep. Since I have seen the scenario how the Hasina was forced to. Now they are telling the Hasina fled away. Is it so? Hasina did not fled away. They bound her to come. They put her in an aeroplane and they sent her here. Now they are asking her back. So, Awami League, who they lead the independence movement. Now, as Yunus said, it was meticulously designed, and we put the reset button. That means you forget everything.
They're trying to wipe out history. Ambassador Chakravarti, one part that really doesn't seem to have much salience in the media today is the Rohingya thing. Could you just explain how that impacts this whole situation?
Well, not directly the students' movement, but the Rohingyas who had to flee from the Arakan area of Myanmar basically came under attack from the Buddhists. And so they had to flee because in Myanmar, by the way, their constitution recognizes ethnic groups, but it doesn't recognize the Rohingyas because they are treated as, they are Bangladeshis. They are treated as Bangladeshis who had migrated from there. Which is not really true because the Arakan was one of the first areas where the Arab traders came.
Right.
And some of them converted, became Muslims, etc. But those Arab traders were not interested in politics, so they were interested in trade. But later on, of course, the population grew. There was migration also, I presume, from Bangladesh. And so the Rohingya problem, this is probably the second or the third time it has happened. Because I remember in Chittagong, there are Rohingyas living from even the 60s or 70s, where there was an influx in the 80s also, I think. And then this current one. And it's obviously a huge burden on Bangladesh. And they have hosted them, and they were looking for various options how to send them back. And now the situation has got even more complicated because the Arakan army, which is one of the ethnic militias, which is a Buddhist militia, has basically driven out the Myanmarese army from the Bangladesh border. And they have taken over that territory in the border. Now, the Bangladesh army is in touch with them, Bangladesh government may be also in touch with them, how to send back the Rohingyas. But how will the Arakan army, which is the Buddhist army, accept that? I mean, this is the million-dollar question. If they do, then the Rohingyas, but the Rohingyas themselves also are afraid of going back. So they have been resettled in different, there's an island, I think there's some island, or Chor, or as they call it, Bhashan Chor, where they have been settled. So they are there, and of course it's a problem that is yet to be solved. And many of the Rohingyas have taken to arms. There is the ARSA, for example. They are also supposed to have conducted, military and terrorist operations. And many Rohingyas have fled into India also. And they are all settled in different, places. They are refugees, and some of them have got UN recognition. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees gives them, some money and some identity, something. So they are staying here. But in India too, there is a deep worry about what these Rohingyas are going to do, because some of them are probably just refugees like any other civilians, but there may be some embedded, terrorist elements also there. So those are some of the security worries India has, and in fact, with the current situation in Bangladesh, that worry has gone up, because there are a lot of illegal Bangladeshis in India, and many of them may be subscribing to those views. And you may have seen that some have been caught also in various places in India, and some have been deported. So that is another worry. Hence, the border has been basically tightened, the security. And the fencing that was being built was with prior agreement. There was a prior agreement. But now the Bangladeshi government wants to show that it can stand up to India, and to show that, they blame Hasina for being submissive and selling out the country's interests to India, which is all, I think, a narrative built to defame her. Because I do believe that, if others are patriots, so is Hasina. Why would she betray her country's interests? Of course, to deal with another country, you do mutual sort of compromises for mutual benefit. And so that is what she had done. That doesn't mean that she was submissive to India or anything. So I think that's a false narrative that has been built, because that's part of their politics. For example, Hasina has been accused by many, call them India's agent, and like the Hindus are called India's agents, for no reason. There is no reason why they are called that. It's just that animosity, the partition legacy, the mindset of certain people who treat Hindus as somehow being Indian agents, or they prefer India than to their own motherland, Bangladesh. This is the kind of narrative built for various, personal benefits sometimes, kick them out, occupy theirs, which has happened. It's happened very regularly. And that is why Hindus have been forced to migrate to India. Basically, where else can they go? But that's not the largest number. There are others who migrate for work, the economic migrants, and they are all Muslims. They are not Hindus. So that is also an issue. We have a problem. But so we need to deal with all this in a more realistic manner. But the problem now is that who do you deal with? The government that is there is supposed to be interim. It is temporary. So can we actually do any long-term deals with them? So the thinking is that it is better to wait for a properly elected government to come to again start discussing various bilateral issues. There is no escape from bilateral engagement. We are too closely bound to each other geographically. Trade is a huge amount of trade goes. A lot of this trade feeds into the Bangladesh industry, and even today, I think, although trade has gone down, I think the December figures still reflect that total trade was about 680 million 1 month, which is down from about 900 million.
Okay.
But it's gone down for various reasons, because industries have suffered, many factories have closed down in Bangladesh, so the demand for raw material has gone down. All kinds of things have happened. So, but then there is also, the fact that we have permitted electricity to flow to Bangladesh, including after the 5th of August, the tripartite agreement with Nepal. Tripura also provides electricity. So, and diesel flows through from the Numaligarh refinery in Assam to North Bengal, where they, without diesel, all the what do you call it, the
Industry
waterways, much of Bangladesh depends on the waterways transportation.
Right.
Much of our goods go up and down through waterways, and they need diesel. So these are basic facts and realities. You cannot ignore them.
Right. Sir, we're almost out of time, so I'd like to ask you to quickly sort of summarize in your view. You are a strategic analyst who's been studying Bangladesh for so long.
Yeah.
If you could just tell me, it doesn't look like things are going to, come back to normalcy anytime soon. And while this wait and watch until a new government comes in sounds like a good idea, even post that, it's unlikely that we will have a government which is friendly towards us. So what are India's options?
Yeah.
If you could just put it down in a bulleted format.
I'll try to summarize it, what you have requested, is that it's the dispensation led by Yunus. I would say it's in a mess, in the sense that there's no coordination between the various advisors, and they do not know, there's no road map. It's very fluid, very unpredictable. And therefore, it's right that you don't know whom to deal with, India, which about your boundary issue, whom to talk to. There's everybody is very vague, very ambiguous in the absence of any direction, if I would say. There's law and order is absolutely in a mess. The police has become very inactive. There's a state of inertia. During the uprising, the policemen were killed, and in the aftermath also. So I think the spirit and morale of the police is very low, all-time low. So to deal with the law and order situation, police is absolutely ineffective. We saw the campus violence, the police reaction time is very slow, even if they are there.
They formed the joint, with the military, that's why.
Yeah, that is why military was given magisterial powers, that you deal with it. But for day-to-day law and order problem, you can't ignore police. The police has to deal with it. You have police, you have Ansar, you have Rapid Action Battalion, everything. You have border guards, Bangladesh, BGP. But it is basic duty for maintaining law and order is police, whether it is Rohingya problem or anything. So police, number one, law and order is in a mess. Your border area you are unable to control. Immigration. So the minorities becoming the softest targets. So if the jihadi mindset people are attacking the minorities, so they are just looking the other way. And to divert attention, they are blaming the Indian media that they are exaggerating, which is not a fact. It is happening. You send any international team of monitors, they will also say that yes, it is. It is there. We also know. We have served in Bangladesh. We have been watching it. There's no exaggeration. There's no inflated account. It is there. So everything is there. Now the ISKCON leader was arrested. There's a lot of provocation. The bail being denied. Other than that, when I noticed the security implications, so definitely there is some force which is acting. Now you see, Khalida Zia and her son Tariq, against whom criminal offences, the cases were registered, they're all been acquitted. And it's also been, I understand from the press, that it has paved the way for them to contest the elections. And Begum Khalida Zia is let off to go to UK for treatment. Fair enough. That's a government decision. You go, you stay well, stay healthy, get treated. United after 7 years. But the bigger plot is being had. BNP is in a hurry to contest elections. Jamaat is not. And they want these elections. The government has announced that end of 25, in 2025 or in 26. So we'll have to see the election tempo. Somebody is coming. Army League may not be allowed to participate, or even if it participates out of fear, intimidation and coercion, they may not be able to do their best. People may not come out to exercise their franchise. There's so many factors. It's very premature to comment specifically about the things, because we are not getting a clearer picture. No picture. It is everywhere from the press. The media is hostile. The media pre-August 5, I wouldn't say favorably disposed towards it, but at least objective. Now they are biased. They are absolutely glaringly biased, visibly biased and prejudiced and attacking Indian media, Indian government. They listed out the names of the Indian diplomats who have been writing against them and all. This is absolutely a breach of journalistic ethics. Am I correct, Ambassador? So these things are happening. So definitely we are at a loss, I feel, to talk to, because there are all faces are very non-committal, bereft of any ideas, bereft of anything. So the law and order situation, the internal security, that is also very tentative there, very tentative. And all the political leaders, the cultural and the religious leaders mostly are behind the bars. The criminals are out, as you know. There are several prisoners being tried earlier and managed to get out of the jail. They are floating. The police weapons had been stolen. The armories looted. So you do not know in whose hand the weapons are. And in case of a problem, they will use them much more than the law and order agencies. So it's a grim picture without any exaggeration. That's all I wanted to sum up with.
Grim picture indeed. And unfortunately, we could have had this discussion a lot more, but we've run out of time. Thank you so very much to the three of you for sort of,
Pleasure.
Explaining
Thank you.
to us
Pleasure.
what the situation is right now. And this is not going to close anytime soon. I'm sure we'll have reason to bring all of you here again. And I really look forward to bringing you here again the next time. And thank you once again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
I do hope you enjoyed this particular edition of our roundtable on Bangladesh. And I hope it opened your eyes as much as it opened mine. Till we meet again, this is Ramananda Sengupta signing out.